I'll give some excerpts from the country's National Strategic Health Development Plan from 2018 to 2022. This is what has been guiding government spending, a lot of investments, trying to revitalize so many things up to December last year. So what I'm saying now is actually it has affected all of us in the last 4 years. And this document actually talked about life expectancy in Nigeria. There are so many things that go into life expectancy. And these numbers are actually the numbers human beings have gotten. You know, human beings are prone to error, so I don't want to go into that sector yet. But a lot of the things that were said are things that are observed in the hospitals. It used the 2016 figures and put our life expectancy at 54.5 years. Nigerians. This was compared to the 47 years figure in 2007. So it means that from 2007 to 2016, things improved and we started living on the average, everybody together now, 54.5 years. But even more importantly, there was something they said there, that healthy life expectancy. You know, life expectancy just means, okay, many of the people are dying at this time. That's it. But they now talked about healthy life expectancy, which is why I'm trying to link it to your prayer, sir. That healthy life expectancy didn't move much. It still stayed at 47.6 years. So it means that we had 6.8 years of illness. So it means that the quality of life was not good. Even though people were now living up to 54.5 years, but from 47 years, they were ill and kept on going down till they eventually exited. This is not good. It is actually not good. So this actually speaks volumes to many aspects of this development plan and many aspects of our health system that I'll be talking about shortly during a small question and answer. Sorry, small questions I'll be asking shortly. What are the things that keep people healthy? And what are the things that make people sick? We know many of them. Our problems are not hidden. We know them. It is now the empowerment to do what we need to do. Some of the things are left to us, while some of the things are beyond us. For instance, you cannot set up a hospital of your own and say it is for you alone. It's really, so those are examples. So those 6.8 years, those are the things we need to focus on. And then the national target was 70 years. Now by the end of that strategic development plan, we should be living to 70 years. I know we still fall short of that. So moving from there, I will just talk about the common causes of death as was found in the hospitals. Malaria, diarrheal disease. I'll be talking about the causes of death and then the causes of those 6.8 years that we are talking about. It talks about the disability adjusted life years. So those things that actually make people's quality of life not to be at the peak. So malaria, diarrheal disease, HIV and AIDS, pneumonias and other respiratory infections, cardiovascular diseases, I'll be talking about that eventually, I'm just getting there. You know, other things, meningitis for children and then hepatitis. There's some things I picked out here. Malaria, diarrheal disease, respiratory diseases, cardiovascular diseases, hypertension and the likes, and then hepatitis for the deaths. And then those 6.8 years and why people are not living to 70 years. Still malaria, diarrheal disease, HIV and AIDS, injuries, chest infections, mental disorders. That's the ranking. So having said this now, I want to ask some questions. How many of us work in the formal sector? The formal sector, I mean working for government or working for multinationals or something like that. How many of us? That's a tricky. Okay, I saw 6 hands. How many of us have health insurance? When I say health insurance now, government, private, you bought it for yourself. Let me see your hands. Okay, so this also reflects the figures that says about 70% of Nigerians, when they are ill, they will pay from pocket, out of pocket payments for healthcare. And this has been found not to be very good because you know you have other competing priorities for your money. People defer to treat themselves. Unlike if you know your health is already paid for. When there's anything is wrong, you go. But we can't quantify that because part of our issues in this part of the world is because we don't have data to really show our experiences. And look at us here now. We cannot be representative of 211 million people. No way. So, having said that, I now want to read something I wrote down during the time I was in the residency program, 3rd of July 2020. I'm sure we'll still remember it was lockdown that time, COVID lockdown. Yeah, but some of us as health practitioners were still working. I was in Gwagwalada at that time in the residency program. So some of my experiences as a doctor, I have to write them down because I say some years from now, when I'm no more, this book will still be there and somebody will write something about it. I had a helpless father frantically trying to help his 3-year-old son who had been bleeding non-stop from both nostrils for 7 hours. Without owning means of conveyance, he traveled from his small village to the nearest PHC in Dobi. I was the doctor in charge of Dobi during the COVID lockdown. I would leave my house. My neighbor didn't know then. I would leave my house and drive to Gwagwalada, the teaching hospital. And from there, I would drive another 23 kilometers to this community where this PHC was. And we were covering 9 communities. And some of these people have to travel 2 hours to come there. And that was the only place where there was one doctor, me, and some other nurses. And that's also a hot spot for Lassa fever, if you know Lassa fever. So, this child came where, I'm just painting a picture of our health system now. We're in Amak. This is Abuja, Amak. Everything is supposed to be working fine. We will still talk about your experiences. So following massive bouts of hematemesis, he coughed out blood while in the consulting room, in the doctor's consulting room, and demonstrably he was really sick. He was warm to touch. One can only imagine the scare of Lassa fever because that was when it dawned on us. You know that we're not only talking of COVID here now. This child has come. He passed through. A bike man brought them. Bleeding. Blood was everywhere. There was blood on the waiting room chairs. The nurse had attended. They brought him straight to me in the consulting room. And before I could say Jack Robinson, this child vomited blood everywhere. On my shoes, you know. And if you know what Lassa fever is similar to Ebola. Yes. That was when it dawned on everybody. Everything happened so fast, within a minute. It now dawned on me that, wait, I'm not only talking of COVID now. I'm talking of Lassa fever as well. Immediately, we locked the clinic down. Nobody's leaving. Let us contain this thing. If it is us, let's know that it is us only. So, we're already weighed down by the infrastructural and protection challenges. No gloves, no mask, those things were there. You know, deficiencies in the face of the COVID pandemic, and this young child's story continues. I'll talk about that. The child did not die. That's it. The child did not die. And eventually it was not Lassa fever. But you can imagine if someone had high blood pressure, was already on the brink of, a stroke. We don't know these things. And then that happened. The scare in the clinic that day was palpable. So these are the things we face every day also within our society. So, and I wrote it down here, what really is the life of a Nigerian, or what really is the life of a Nigerian worth? Because that question is what I want us to think about. And then I want us to, while thinking about it, let's say our cup has been half full, remember, not half empty. We need to look at these things from the point of, okay, we need to be salt to the earth and light to the world. We are Christians here. So for me as a doctor, many things that gives me courage is the word of God. That's just it. Because there are so many things we still cannot explain. We really can't explain it. So, I've listed 10 illnesses that we can all relate with, and 10 illnesses also that reduce quality of life from 47 to 54. So it's now time for us to discuss. One of the things I've penned down here is cardiovascular diseases. When we look at these illnesses, it's for all Nigerians, from the little baby born to the oldest person. But when we look at the population that actually does the work, for which we have a lot of the men, cardiovascular diseases, hypertension, and some of its complications, stroke, a heart attack, renal failure, end-stage renal failure requiring dialysis. So these are the three systems that hypertension hits. And we all know that hypertension, there's no symptom. The blood pressure can be 200 and sometimes people are walking around. But it's causing damage. It's causing damage. And that is where we need to, they say ignorance is bliss in English, but for some of these things it is not. Eventually the system gets weighed down. So hypertension is one thing I'm picking out. Hepatitis is another thing I've picked out from this list. And these things are preventable. You can check them. You know, the same way we need to go for fitness, take your car for a check. These are all the things that weigh men down. You want to make sure that everybody is fine. You need to check yourself also, because it's when you are fine, you can continue to get all those other things done. And just like our brother has said, when he was down, nothing else mattered. And life will go on. You know? So we need to ensure that we can keep ourselves healthy. If you notice my presentation, I just touch, and went round, because I cannot dwell and stay long on any particular topic. I want us to talk to ourselves. I won't be answering all the questions. You will also answer the questions, you know, and let us see how we can, with the time that is left, interact. What are those issues? I talked about health insurance. Money. Money is very important. And money, in fact, ensures that many decisions that need to be taken are not taken. And then when that decision is taken, you don't implement it because of money. You know, part of the things that we have been provided is health. We know it's not perfect. It doesn't work perfectly in this country, but we can advise. You know, I also have 8 years of experience within the sector, and I can advise. We can also share our experiences. But it's very important. Out-of-pocket payments, most of the time, illness will not tell you it's coming. And for us, it's not just us, our children, our wives, our people in the village, our parents, our brothers and sisters, because our society is one that is, in my English, I got C6 in English. Yes, thank you, sir. It's not you alone. That same thing that is happening to that person is also affecting you, and that money will come out of your pocket. So let's use the next couple of minutes to interact. Let's hear from you, and let us see how we can, you know, get to talk about those things that touch us primarily. One of the things I'll talk about is, please, get health insurance, please. So we have one hand here already. So let's Thank you, sir, for that question. I'm not a dietitian, but I have the basic information. And that basic information I want to give you, I'll be speaking from the point of view of calories, which is what your body needs to burn to give you energy to move. And then the basic vitamins and minerals that your body needs to repair itself. And then, you know, you need to rest as well. It's when we sleep. That's when a lot of the reparative processes in our body takes place. Why you've seen me, I've given these three perspectives is because health doesn't have one answer all the time. There are so many factors that come into play. But because we talked about diet, All these three things I talked about are also important. You need to have calories. It needs to get into your system in a balanced manner. It takes about 4 hours for digestion to take place. If you take raw sugar, Coke, Fanta, and things like that, smoothies, things like that, it will get into your system faster. Is that person predisposed to diabetes? Is the person already having diabetes? So a lot of this information usually is channeled to specific populations or specific subgroups. And that is why when we go online, we find everything. But please, my advice, when we are eat 3 times a day, this is my advice. I'm not an authority. But please, eat 3 times a day. Don't take one big heavy meal and go and sleep. Because when you do that, digestion slows down and the body just almost absorbs all the calories of that big akpu or amala or eba you're taking at dinner. Your food rations should be well spaced. Vegetables ensure that the food in the tummy moves smoothly and doesn't just slow down there and clog there. Vegetables 1/3, some calories 1/3, and then a lot of roughages, nuts the other 1/3. Don't just have one big plate of apple like that. So let it be spaced like that. And then for your 3 meals, it doesn't have to be one straight prescription all the time. Ensure you have vegetables. When I say 1/3 portion of vegetables, it means it's a lot of vegetables. A lot of it. You know, the fruits. Please, I don't really encourage a lot of sweet, sugary fruits. Pineapple, oranges, very sweet apples. And then you say you're taking fruits. Mix it. Cabbage, cucumber, carrots. Yeah, some people call them vegetables, but me, I call them fruits. I eat it, you know. So that it has a lot of fiber and can allow what you have eaten to quickly pass. You know, and then remember there are genetic predispositions. There are so many things that particular individual is predisposed to. You see how our faces are different here. That's how our genetic predisposition is different. And some of us, some may be prone to some kinds of illnesses than others. But eventually, when all this gets into the hospitals, we just use what we have found to generalize for the whole population. But really, it's not correct. It's not correct. So a lot of that information is directed at certain categories of people. For those that have a family history of diabetes, for instance, they need to take what I've just said very seriously. Especially type 2 diabetes that features from after 40, 45 years. As you start approaching that age, be very careful about what you eat. Don't go to Cold Stone Creamery and just be packing ice cream and be taking things like that, because your body's reserve of insulin, you never can quantify it. How many of those beta cells, and you, speaking technically now, are left? You don't know. But the thing is, don't weigh your system down. That's what I'm trying to say. That's what I'm getting at. Now, there are prescriptions of what a standard diet should be. What I've just said now, fiber, calories, a lot of fluids and all of that, it's online. So let's get that. I'll get some of those materials and also share with my colleagues here. Any other question? Diet and exercise, and then let me link it to exercise. It's not exercise only, it has to go with diet. You go and exercise for 1 hour and then find yourself in what do they call Jevnik, and fill yourself with amala and you've annulled it. You know, so it's diet, exercise, it needs to go together. I wanted to add that, sir. Okay, there are standard prescriptions for tests for men and women. Now for men, we push in a lot of those cancer screenings, because those are the things that when you pick them on time, you can do something about it. So, but when you talk about the screening as a whole, I think, a lot of blood tests to check the organs. Sorry, don't quote me yet, though, because I may not be saying everything. But you need to check those key organs: the heart, the kidneys, the lungs, and then these organs that are targeted by preventable cancers, or cancers that you can do something about it when you pick it early. The prostate, the colon, which is the GI tract. So those are major killers as well. You know, because when you find it at stage 4, there's not much that medical science can do anymore. So screening for colon cancer, screening for prostate cancer, those two are for men. Colon cancer cuts across both. For women, instead of prostate is now breast and cervical. And then of course the other things for cardiovascular screening, aside the blood pressure, ECG, echo, and all of that. For the kidneys, you know, EGFR, urea creatinine, there are standard lists for comprehensive medical checkup or an annual medical checkup. Most of the hospitals have them. So please plan for one or get a health insurance plan that covers one. Yes, so that's what I will add there, because getting money from your pocket to pay for these things is not easy. Okay, I hope I was able to touch a bit on it. Okay. Hallelujah. Okay, on the average, take 2.5 liters of water a day, on the average. During hot season and when you're sweating, take a bit more. When I say a bit more, but I won't want to say overindulge. And then remember, we are different also. But on the average, 2.5 liters a day. Big small water, just take like 2. That's like 3 liters. You know, so, and then of course it's not that you just, you know, because the body is very efficient. Your kidneys will kick it out. You know, but you need a good spread of it over the course of the day as your body is digesting food, as your body is exposed to chemicals during the day. You know, the kidneys are working, clearing out and detoxifying. The liver is working and detoxifying. It needs water to do a lot of these things and for the metabolic systems to be working fine. You know, if you know that your urine is getting very deep amber, it means you need water, because the urine is getting concentrated. So I think that's on the average 2.5 liters of water per day, equally distributed. Not that you just remember in the afternoon and then you just take 2 liters. Your kidneys will flush it out within the next hour or hour and a half, because you'll be going to urinate. And then thereafter your body will be looking for water. And then you feel you are taking your 2.5. So I think, and then with meals, you know, because when you take meals, a lot of the blood is pushed to the digestive area to help with the process and absorb the food. So with meals, water as well, you know. So let that water quantity be around the time of your eating and shortly thereafter as well. And that's why you need to eat, for me, my advice, which is tallied with some of the advice in our literature as well. It should be spaced. Because remember, when you had dinner around 9 or 8, or for some people 7, you now slept till 7. You got up. And most people, when they get up in the morning, they don't eat. They now maybe get to the office, and then possibly those that have breakfast will eat around 8, 9, or those that have the privilege of eating in the morning before going to the office. But there's a 12-hour window where you do not eat anything. So if that kind of person already has peptic ulcer, or is predisposed to having peptic ulcer, or had been having dyspepsia, as in, you know that when you fast, it warns you. You know, those warnings, it's not ulcer yet, but it's already warning you. You already know you need to have breakfast. You need to have your antacids in your pocket, the liquid one, and so still going back to my answer that there's no straight answer. Depends on you as the person. There's the average answer, and then if you know there's a predisposition, please skip your meal. If you have that predisposition for peptic ulcer, there's already reflux. Once in a while, you just feel the burning sensation going up. These are warning signs that you don't joke with that acid in your stomach. Because as you're sleeping, the acid was accumulating, waiting for food. No food. What do you think will happen to the acid? It will be knowing what it can know there. You know, and if there's already an open raw area from an ulcer, it will keep disturbing that place. It will not heal. You know, so this is why lifestyle modifications are very important in the treatment of a lot of the things that are in that category of illnesses that make the quality of life in the last 6.8 years to go down. So I hope I've touched the questions. 1 minute. 1 minute more. Given that response, I gave a reason. Blood is pulled to your gastrointestinal system, the intestines and the stomach around that area when you eat, because the digestion process will follow. Please, when you go online, you'll find all sorts of things. All sorts. Please, when you eat, that's why when you're eating, you have a glass of water there, right? And sometimes, you know, when you are swallowing, depending on what you are eating, you can see the irritation around your throat. Please drink that water. It's to make you feel better. And aside making you feel better in swallowing that food, and the next one that will follow, it also helps with digestion, the digestion process, and even thereafter. So my advice, please have water in between as you're eating your food to assist with the mastication process and the swallowing and the digestion process. And even thereafter also, please have some water. And remember, on the average, 2.5 liters a day, equally spaced. I think that's the advice I will give. My time is up, actually. I think I'll start by saying that I'm not an authority in that. I've also, they've also marketed these things to me. Because I'm not an authority, I cannot comment. But I must say the water me I've been drinking has been okay for me. So please, I cannot comment. I can't comment on that. That's all I can say for now. Thank you for that. Let me start with the second one. Yes, let me leave the last one first. Now, for the second one, I think belching, a lot of that has to do with gas generation within the intestines and the stomach. If that gas is closer up towards the stomach area, it will be belched. If it's closer down towards, it will come out as fat. Diets, a lot of the diets is important. A lot of milk and other food components that are predisposed to fermentation, will cause gas production. Some infections also can cause action on the food you eat, and those bacteria form gas. So there are quite a number of reasons why one can have excessive gas. But and then of course there are some genetic conditions also that predispose to slow movement of food and then gas production and all. So as long as you have not noticed that it's something that is acute, it's uncomfortable, there's some stomach distension and things like that, you can watch. But if you notice any change in the way your body is normally, please go and get yourself checked, because the reasons are varied. The third question, I'm still trying to remember the first one because I wasn't writing down. Yes, okay, fine. Well, let me take that third question. For the third question, as long as there is no organic problem, I mean, of course, performance, there are so many reasons why one may not have an erection or a sustained erection. If there are blood vessel issues, the blood vessels that take blood to the sex organs of the male. So that's one aspect. But we know that there's also a very important mental component to the sexual act as well. So preparedness, is there undue expectation? When there's all these things also ensure that even if there's an erection, it will not be sustained. Then, rest. Stress is anti. It counters that. Even if there's an erection at all, it will not be sustained. Stress from you're thinking about how the family is, so many things. And then your physical self needs to be rested as well. Not after a long day at work or a long trip, business trip with little sleep in between. You not think you will be at your best. No, you will not be at your best. And if you realize a lot of these things I've said is not exhaustive, each of them contributes. So it's important that one has a balance and one prepares also psychologically, no undue pressure or no undue expectation on yourself as well. And I think this is supposed to be like a discussion, because there are some people that are more experienced than me here in that regard. Then to the first question, in my talk earlier, I said one of the things that is our challenge as the health sector in our country or in the developing world is reliable information and data. We don't have reliable data on our own experiences with many medications. A lot of the medications we are taking here now were medications that nature was observed. They saw how maybe chimpanzees took some certain herbs and from being febrile they became well. And then they actually went and looked at those herbs, refined them, got the active component out, and you can see it as pills today. A lot of the medicines we're taking today emanated from nature. And then they were now refined in the lab and all of that. So our traditional medications, even medical science recognizes that some of them have activity. But it goes beyond that recognition. How much of it will you take? That's one thing. And then we know that a lot of these drugs, they have side effects. It may solve your main problem, but what else has it added? We don't know. So, and a lot of research is going on even now for many of those compounds that we have. Some of those compounds have even been taken outside this country for a lot of this work to be done. Even the coartem we take today in China. That was how it was discovered. It's a plant. You know, so it is now how they are prepared. After they are prepared, how they are stored in some bottles mixed with something. You don't know if bacteria is growing in that thing. You don't know. And then they just pour maybe 1 cup. They say drink 1 cup. How much is in that 1 cup? We don't know. And we've noticed also that recently our dialysis units are overburdened. They are really overburdened. There's a lot of work going on now to find out what has happened in the last decade to see that many people are now coming down with kidney disease and what is happening. So all of that is actually still going on. So, and until we can quantify these things, welcome, sir. Until we can quantify these things, the use and recognition by the medical community for these traditional medications will still be given a lot of scrutiny, really, because there are so many unanswered questions. You know, so we know we have to take ownership of some of these things. There are patent rights issues, so many issues, you know, concerning ownership of what you have found and all. That is the world that we live in, really. And that's why some people keep their information. It's not only here in this part of the world, even out there too. You know, so as a medical professional, I would advise that possibly you take something that you know works. You know works and will not add more problem to what you already have and that has been described appropriately. If someone else is taking it and they get well, and a lot of what we say about treatments, it's your decision, ultimately. We can provide solutions, but ultimately it is your decision to take it. You know, what informs that decision is part of why we're having this discussion. So please, and then please, we have the Holy Spirit that also guides us. You know, for me, in my practice, whether it's a Muslim I'm talking to, I will always tell them, I say, there's something inside your head that is telling you what to do.